like sports? Do you like beer? Do you love sports and beer? Then you're exactly where you need to be. This is the Huebs, Views, and Brews show on 1252 Sports Chicago. Cheers.
How's everyone doing tonight on a really crappy Monday? Sunday was pretty bad too, weather-wise and football-wise if you're a Bears fan. We'll get into that. Welcome into Huebs, Views, and Brews Monday nights here on the 1252 Chicago Sports Network. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitch, also on Spotify, usually the day after. All the audio is on Spotify. And you can still catch me on my Facebook. And if you follow me on Facebook, and you can catch all the shows when they're run, the Fat Mike Chicago show on Wednesdays and a bunch of other shows throughout the course of the week, the World's Best Fantasy Show and all those things. Catch them all right here. You can just go to YouTube or Twitch and go to 1252 Sports, and you'll find us, and you'll be able to go back and listen to any of the shows we've done in the past. I was going to have a beer guest today, but they just recently opened up, and they're very busy, and that's a good thing. So Dylan from the Open Door Tap Room was unable to be with me tonight. We're going to work it out and get him with us some other time down the road. But if you get a chance, stop on in to Clarendon Hills. I was going to head out there today. The rain and some stuff around the house prevented me from doing that, but check it out. They have beer, and it just opened a week or so ago, I think on October 8th, and sounds like it's really cool. I saw the pictures of the place. Looks very nice, and so we get a lot more beer talk. I got a bunch of other stuff. If you're a Tribune reader, you saw a nice article in the Chicago Tribune, bottom of the front page of the paper. Yeah, not the extra section or anything else. Front page of the paper. An article by our guy, Josh Noel. Josh was with us a couple weeks ago. He writes for the Tribune and did an article about all the lagers that are being made in the Chicagoland area, and got a nice little pub for our guy, Thomas, over at Goldfinger Brewing. So we'll talk a little bit about that in just a little while. As you know, Huebs, Views, and Brews, a lot of Bears stuff to talk about. I got almost every sport. I got Bears, Bulls, World Series, Blackhawks, Chicago Fire. That's right. I was there the other day. I got a Chicago Fire shirt on. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. Fuel the fire. And they had 31,000 people at Soldier Field the other day. And you could tell that because as I was getting off the Stevenson onto Lakeshore Drive, it took forever to get into the parking lot on the Waldron deck. And I turned to my girlfriend, Linda, who was nice enough to go with me because nobody else will go with me to see soccer games. That was the last home game of the year. But I said, it's going to take about 20 minutes to get into the parking lot. It took about all of that to get into the parking lot. I can't imagine what it must be to get into the Waldron deck for a Bears game. And you got to get there, I know, super, super early. People are tailgating and everything else. So that's probably pretty easy. But boy, it took a long time. But anyway, we'll get to some Chicago Fire talk. But I always like to have a beer. And today's beer is one I tried on Wednesday at Altar Brewing. And then I also tried it on, let's see, what day was that? On Friday at Little Key. Never heard of Little Key? Well, Little Key is the small space that Skeleton Key Brewing has opened up. We all know about Skeleton Key. We've talked about them. We had Paul and Emily on. We had Emily and Vicky on from Skeleton Key. Little Key is a little space in the back of where their building is, and they've opened it up. It's room for about 25, 30 seats. They've got a kegerator there, and they're able to have some beers on tap. They've got 3 of their own. They have a couple of other beers on tap, so we'll talk about that. But this one is called the Spontaneous Human Collaboration, as I turn the beer so you can see it. The Spontaneous Human Collaboration. It's a collaboration beer between Skeleton Key Brewing and Altar Brewing, and I had it the other day. It was real tasty. I was at altar. They opened on Wednesday at 3, and I was there at 3:05. I like getting to these places early. Plus, middle of the afternoon, if you're not working, great time to go catch a beer. So this is very good and very tasty. It's a 7% alcohol by volume. It's a high density, hop charged IPA, 7% in nice small cans, nice 12-ounce cans. So not only did I have one, but also picked up a 6-pack. And I think this is the third of the 6-pack that I've had. Very, very tasty. If you get a chance, I'm drinking it. The Guinness glass is perfect for 12 ounces. I got a bigger Guinness glass, bigger for 17 ounces. It's very, very good, and it sneaks up on you a little bit. It's the hop charged and an IPA. Very, very good. So I'll be drinking that throughout the course of the show. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the beer segment near the bottom of the hour, or maybe a little bit later, because I do have some stuff to talk about with the Bears, and I'm not going to be. It's very easy to say fire Nagy, fire Pace, McCaskey should sell the team. That's great. Those things are all wonderful. The Bears have never fired a head coach or a general manager in the middle of the season. At least they know a head coach. And the McCaskies are not going to sell the team. They're making money hand over fist with the Chicago Bears. All the owners in the NFL make so much money having the NFL, a lot of it TV money. You turn the TV on, you can find them games on. There's a Monday night game this evening. Not one I'm really interested in, the Seahawks and the Saints. I was interested in the Sunday night game last night, which was on NBC, the Colts and the 49ers. Colts won that one. But there's so much money they get, they're never going to sell the team. So don't even think about that. You can stop. Oh, they don't hire the right people. That's true. We have seen Ryan Pace was way out over his skis. Not nearly as what we hoped that he would get when he came to the Chicago Bears. And Matt Nagy, yeah, not the offensive genius we were hoping for. But going into yesterday's game against the Tampa Bay Bucks, the Bears, I can't imagine anybody thought the Bears were going to win. Certainly the odds makers didn't think so. The Bears were 12.5-point underdogs on Thursday, I think, and it dropped to 11.5-point underdogs, which meant that Bears fans were betting on the Bears, getting 12.5 points. Some people had as many as 13 points. It was 11.5 on Saturday. I know I didn't touch that because I didn't know if the Bears would be able to score anything. And as it turned out, they were able to score only 3. A final score of 38-3 as the Bucs beat the Bears. But there were so many fans before the season started that said, you drafted Justin Fields, you got to play him. You drafted Justin Fields, you got to play him. And today, all I've been hearing is Pace and Nagy and McCaskey. It's amazing that we didn't hear so much about Justin Fields turning the ball over 5 times. That's right. 5 times he turned the ball over. Okay, he wasn't getting protection. That's true. He fumbled the ball twice. Why did he fumble the ball? Because the right tackle, Wilkinson, had to bow out of the game about 90 minutes before kickoff because he tested positive for COVID. So he's in the COVID protocol. And so he was out. They had to put a guy named Latavius Simmons there, who was playing, if I'm not mistaken, his first NFL games. And he allowed players to just come running around the end. And twice they got to Justin Fields and he fumbled. But Fields also threw 3 interceptions. There was some miscommunication on one. The Bears, I don't know if it was Laser or somebody, or if it was Matt Nagy, that told him in his headphones that, hey, they got 12 men in the field. So he tried to snap the ball early. He did snap the ball early, might have thrown his receivers off, and that was the one he threw, the interception he threw when Allen Robinson fell down. So looked like Robinson was going to cut one way. He slipped, fell, interception. But 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles. You're not going to win a game ever with a -5 in the turnovers, okay? The Bears got 1, so they lost the turnover battle 5-1. They lose the game 38-3. But I didn't hear anybody talking about that today. Everyone says, well, they're not giving him the weapons. They're not giving once in a while, the guy's got to make some plays. And Justin Fields is not making plays right now. He had a nice pass to Darnell Mooney. He did have some drops. Again, one went off the hands of Mooney for an interception. Ball was maybe a little high. One was dropped by Cole Kmet. Perfect pass. But it's going to be a learning process. And when you have rookie quarterbacks, that's what's going to happen. So as a fan of the Bears, and you wanted them to play Justin Fields, you're going to see games like you saw yesterday where Justin Fields is continuing to learn. Sure, the offensive line sucks. We know the offensive line sucks. But with a rookie quarterback, it's going to struggle even more, and it's going to look exactly like it does right now. So I don't know exactly what football fans or Bears fans were expecting when Justin Fields came in. You knew the line was bad. You knew they were not necessarily deep at good wide receiver. You knew they hadn't been throwing much to the tight ends. They did play Jesse James yesterday. Why'd they do that? Well, because Jimmy Graham was out. The Bears had 5 players in the last 11 days who had to bow out because of COVID protocol. And today we hear that Matt Nagy has tested positive for COVID. So he's got to be away from the team and has to have 2 negative tests 24 hours apart. So he announced early this morning that he tested positive. So the earliest he would likely be with the team is Wednesday. So Chris Tabor, the special teams guy, does he suck? He has sucked for years as a special teams coordinator. So James puts a question. At some point, he has to start making plays happen. How long before we question if he is the guy? Well, it's going to take a while. The Jets are questioning if Zach Wilson's the guy. Hey, Jimmy. We're going to question the rookie quarterback for as long as we possibly can until he starts making the plays. He's made a couple of nice ones. He still doesn't seem to have take off very often and run the ball. It was funny after the game yesterday, and we'll get into some more of this stuff as I got a lot of other Bear stuff to talk about. But after the game yesterday, Matt Nagy was talking about how one of the best things he saw out of Justin Fields yesterday was on a second down in the red zone, which was so rare for the Bears to be in the red zone. He rolled right, didn't find anybody, and threw the ball away. He said that's growth for the quarterback. So this is how far we're going. Growth for a rookie quarterback is throwing the ball away and not trying to force it or throw across his body when they're in the red zone and give away a scoring opportunity. And so that's where you are when you're playing a rookie quarterback. You look, Sam Darnold, a third year guy, he got taken out in Carolina because he wasn't playing well. Okay, Mac Jones is playing okay with the Patriots. They had an easy game yesterday and had an easy victory. But none of these rookie quarterbacks are putting up massive numbers. And it's going to be a struggle for the Bears. So you're not going to fire Nagy. You're not going to fire Pace. It's not going to happen during the season. If it happens during the season, I'll be the first one to say, I was wrong. They did something which was out of the ordinary. But the Bears don't do those kind of things. They don't fire a guy in the middle of the season. And again, if they wanted to fire Pace or Nagy, they had every opportunity to do it after last season. They decided not to. They gave him a vote of confidence. Because of that, we're in the situation as Bears fans that we are currently in. So, Justin Fields, 22 of 32, 184 yards. I mentioned the Kmet drop. Kmet's had 5 catches, 43 yards. The 2 top receivers, Allen Robinson, 2 for 16, and Darnell Mooney, 2 for 39. That's not going to get you very, very far. But at least the Bears did find a running back. Another running back. You have Damian Williams, who only had 3 or 4 carries yesterday. And then you also have Khalil Herbert, 18 for 100. I wouldn't have minded running him a little bit more, but I understand you fall behind early. You figure you got to do something a little bit different. So Khalil Herbert, a guy that can run the ball, it is fun watching him. I understand the scheme is trash, but they've got to put something in that Justin Fields can actually run and operate. I heard someone bring up a point the other day that when Justin Fields was playing at Ohio State, everybody at every position was good at Ohio State. Now, in the NFL, you would think the players are better. You would think the offensive linemen are better. Well, at Ohio State, a football factory like Ohio State, you're playing with great players, and those players are getting drafted to play in the NFL. Unfortunately, the Bears have a bunch of linemen who are pickups from you've got 2 free agent pickups, undrafted free agent pickups from Notre Dame. You're right, Alan. They should have been fired last year. Wasted a whole year. Bad play calling. If they ran the ball a little bit more, I would like seeing this. If your offensive line blocks, Jason Peters, you put Bars, who had played guard, he was playing the right tackle. He was adequate yesterday. Sam Mustafer's got to learn how, as a center, to snap the ball and not have it fall out of his hands as it's going back to Justin Fields. He's done that now 2 weeks in a row. So there's so much to complain about, so much to argue about. But get off, in my opinion, you're wasting your time and energy yelling and screaming for the Bears to fire Pace and Nagy. The Bears are 3-4. That means they've played 7 games. Simple math. That means they have 10 games remaining. Why are you going to yell and bitch and moan for the next 11 weeks? Because a bye week is in there too. You're wasting your time and energy. Look at other things that are wrong with the team. Look at other things the team can work on and get better at and complain about those things. Okay. Wait and see how things go. Jason says, imagine pining for the days of Leno and Massey. Yeah, but the one thing Jason Peters and Alex Bars didn't do yesterday, neither of them got called for a false start. Something Leno got pretty much every game, and when he didn't, you got it on the other side. I know Leno's starting right now for, I think it's Denver, but what are you going to do? The problem with the game yesterday is the Bears gave the ball away. I mentioned the turnovers, and I was laughing and making fun of Chris Tabor because Chris Tabor, the special teams guy, is running Matt Nagy's meetings. 5 drives for the Buccaneers started in the first half, 5 drives in Bears territory. On the Bears 32 after the first punt of the game, on the 42, the 35, the 25, and the 48. Talk about field position. You automatically give these guys tremendous field position. And when you do that to Tom Brady, and I will never call him the GOAT because I'm a Joe Montana guy, but when you do it to Tom Brady, he's going to throw 4 touchdown passes like he did yesterday. He's going to throw the 600th touchdown pass of his career. He had Godwin for 4, and then 3 to Evans, 9 yards, 2 yards, 8 yards. The first one to Evans, the 600th of his NFL career. The only guy that has ever thrown 600 touchdown passes. Again, he's an old man. He's playing forever, and he looks every single year. It looks like he's getting younger, which is a bizarre thing. So Bilal Nichols, actually, Jensen, the center, gets in a little shoving match with Nichols. And what's Nichols do? He hauls off and hits him with a fist. Boy, you're stupid. And he got immediately kicked out of the game. You can't do that. You can't. Boy, if you pushed him, shoved him, did anything, you take your fist and you hit a guy's face mask. First of all, how dumb are you? That's got to hurt you more than him. So we'll see. We'll see. They say the league will not suspend him or not fine him for taking the punch. He got ejected from the game. That's enough. We'll see if Alex Bars is going to play the right tackle position next week or if the Bears are going to do something else. They get the Niners next week. They did have a couple of stops in the second half. And at halftime, Matt Nagy said that when they go into half down 35-3, he got the guys together and said, listen, now it's a pride issue. Let's try to go out there and in the second half, keep them off the scoreboard. Well, they scored on a field goal late in the game. The Bears had a couple of nice stops at the goal line in their own red zone, and they played well defensively when they had to. Alec Ogletree with a nice stop. I saw Eddie Jackson make a tackle. I also saw Eddie Jackson on one of the other plays on the Fournette 2-yard touchdown run. There we go, Kurt. Yeah, Jackson finally made a tackle. Godwin on the 1-yard line. But he also, when Fournette ran in for a 2-yard touchdown, they're on the 2, and where was he standing? There you go. Thanks. Leno, Washington, and he's still bad. Thanks, Anthony. Yeah, Fournette's on the 2. The ball's on the 2. Where was Eddie Jackson standing? He was 4 yards deep in the end zone. It's going to be tough to stop a running back when you're 4 yards deep in the end zone. That's where he was when Fournette ran into the end zone for the touchdown. So I didn't have a whole lot. He had 11 tackles, I think, yesterday. So, Jason, love you too. He says, love you. Great hearing your voice again. So the defense gave up a lot of rushing yards again for the 3rd straight week. They gave up a lot of rushing yards, more than 150 yards rushing to Jones and also Fournette yesterday. They've got to cut down on that. Offensively, 2 of 11 on 3rd down. You can't do that. It's got to be a lot better than that. Allen says the Bears center is a weak link, not strong enough. If you have no offensive line, you can't do anything. Well, they're running the ball okay. You had a 100-yard rusher. So they are able to run block. They can't apparently pass block, and they can't. Justin Fields cannot pick up blitzes. The second play of the game was a safety blitz, and that's when he lost a lot of yardage. They completed a pass to Jesse James for 6 yards after that, but not nearly enough. That was when they had to punt. After winning the coin toss and taking the ball, they wanted to have a nice start offensively. And on the second play of the game, when there's a safety blitz and Justin Fields doesn't see it, that's not going to be very, very helpful. Listening to Tony Romo and Jim Nantz, I've said for years and years, before I ever had a chance to meet Jim Nantz, I said, I don't like Jim Nantz on basketball and football. He can call golf and tennis all he wants, but I don't like him on the other sports. And then I had a chance to meet him. And if you ever get a chance, go on YouTube. When I was working with Mike North, we had Jim Nantz in the studio. And Jim Nantz was the voice of Golden Tee. And we played a hole of Golden Tee with Jim Nantz. And it's pretty cool. You can find it on YouTube. Just look it up on YouTube with my name or Mike North or Jim Nantz on YouTube, and you can probably find it. It's pretty cool. So Brady for the game, 20 for 36. He didn't have a great game. He threw 4 touchdowns. And wearing his hat backwards, which is years ago, that was one of my pet peeves. I've given that up decades ago. It was my pet peeve when Ken Griffey Jr. wore his hat backwards for the home run derby. And I got all kinds of crap when I went to the air with that. So, stuff happens. You have your own traditional ways. Hats were made to wear one way. But what are you going to do? Before I go any further, and I'm about done with Bears talk, you see me sitting here drinking beer, you say how this guy can't be very cultured. I did something last week, which was very, very cool. And if you have a friend who likes art, or you have a girlfriend or a wife or something like that, and you get a chance to go see the immersive Van Gogh experience downtown, do it. It's very, very cool. I went down there with my girlfriend Linda last Thursday, and they take these Van Gogh pictures, and you walk into a room, and the entire room is covered with the Van Gogh as it moves. The picture moves, and it's very, very neat. It's about a 20, 25-minute thing, and there's different rooms, and every time you see it from a different area, you get a different perspective of it. And very, very interesting, very cool. And then I went to Manny's. So I took all the culture I just had from looking at Van Gogh paintings, then went to Manny's for corned beef and pastrami on an onion roll. And I told my buddy John, I told him, I said, I didn't have any leftovers. I said, they must have skimped on the meat. And he got back to me and he said, yeah, like Manny's has ever skimped on the meat in the history of Manny's. So I guess I was hungry after looking at all that art and walking around on a cold, windy day in Chicago last Thursday. Also, if anybody's on here and listening, I know there's some people on here listening, but I saw the commercial so many times yesterday. I want to stop at Wendy's and try their hot and crispy fries because they looked really good on the commercials. And that's what they were promoting them yesterday all day long. I must have seen the commercial 6, 7 times during the game. And I like Wendy's for their breakfast sandwiches. If, Reggie Bush likes them, $1.99, you can't beat it. You get 2 breakfast sandwiches for $4.25. Come on. Where else can you get that? Not even McDonald's anymore. McDonald's jacked theirs up where it's the full price for the first one and $1 for the second one. So even if you get 2 breakfast sandwiches, that's about the only time I go for fast food. I never go for a burger, maybe a chicken sandwich once in a while, but breakfast sandwiches are great in my opinion. And so easy. And but has anybody had the hot and crispy fries? I haven't yet. I may have to have those very, very soon. So Bears had the 49ers coming up, and the Niners lost yesterday. Jimmy Garoppolo was quarterbacking. Trey Lance was out. He's injured. George Kittle is out. Deebo Samuel did okay. I won some money. I had Deebo Samuel over 75 yards and catching a touchdown. He had a 100-yard game and caught a touchdown. That was a nice little wager on PointsBet. So that'll be a tough game for me because I'm a big Niner fan, as I have Niners all around me. I've got Jerry Rice picture right here behind me. And they've been fun to follow, obviously, when they were the team of the decades in the 80s. Then they struggled really bad. Then they were okay. Then they get really good and go to the Super Bowl. And now they're struggling with Jimmy Garoppolo. And Garoppolo had the ball slip out of his hands late in the game yesterday, was intercepted, and the Colts ended up winning that contest. So that's enough football for right now. The Bulls, anybody that's followed me on ESPN or on the Score before, I am not a basketball fan. I love high school basketball. I used to love college basketball until the one and dones, because then every year you don't know who's on the team because there's a bunch of new recruits or junior college transfers or whatever. The NBA, I've never been a fan of the NBA. I watch the Bulls. I love watching Bulls basketball, but that's it. Same with hockey. I watch the Blackhawks. I've only watched 3 of their games this year, and they have not won in 6. Um, but I do watch basketball. And the Bulls are a team, they made moves. They've got a new front office, like Bears fans are wanting the Bears to do. They got a new front office. They got rid of Gar. Paxson was kicked upstairs, so he doesn't make as many basketball decisions. And now we see the Bulls are off to a nice start. They're 3-0. They're playing Toronto tonight. And I apologize. I did not want Lonzo Ball on the Bulls because all I knew about Lonzo Ball, because I didn't watch the rest of the league, was his dad was a pain in the ass. And I didn't want to have anything to do with or dealings with his dad. And guess what? Lonzo Ball comes to the Bulls. We don't hear about his dad at all. And Lonzo Ball is fun to watch. Had a triple-double on Saturday, and that was a lot of fun. He got going to the basket late in the game. He's got an easy layup. What's he do? He lays it up for Alex Caruso because he knew he needed one more assist to get the triple-double. Bulls had a nice win. They've beaten Detroit twice, and they've beaten the Pelicans. They beat the Pelicans the other day. So, Roger, cool. Thanks a lot for being a fan forever. So the Bulls are fun to watch. I'm watching them now, second quarter. They're up by a couple over Toronto. See if they can go 4-0 later on today. They're a lot of fun to watch. DeMar DeRozan, a nice pickup. So we'll see how things go with them. The World Series starts tomorrow, and the White Sox are not in it. The White Sox lost to the Houston Astros, and the Houston Astros are in the World Series. This is the third time in 5 years the Astros are in the World Series. Yeah, they may have cheated back in 2017, but they're a pretty damn good organization, a pretty darn talented squad of baseball players. They're not going to have Lance McCullers. McCullers got hurt when he pitched against the White Sox. He has not pitched since. It's amazing that they're doing it with the pitchers they have. And Luis Garcia pitched very, very well. He had a one-hitter through, 6 1/3, I think it was, in the ALCS, and they ended up beating the Red Sox. That was nice to see. And the Braves and Freddie Freeman getting to the World Series. So I'm eager to see how that plays out. World Series gets underway on Tuesday night down in Houston. So you got Atlanta and Houston. I think the Astros are a little favored. I'm just hoping for a good series. I love watching World Series baseball. I love watching postseason baseball, and I've got a chance to watch a lot of it. The Blackhawks, I'm not going to mention much more about the Blackhawks because I did mention them that they've not won a game yet. They're 0-5-1. They've played 6 games, and they have not had a lead in any of those games. Any of them. Every single game they've fallen behind, and they've lost. And I don't know which direction they're going. And, of course, all the Blackhawk fans are saying, get rid of Jeremy Colleton. I don't know. Is it the coach's fault? I always think blaming the coach is too easy. There's got to be something else. Is it the general manager, the guy that puts the team together, Stan Bowman? Is it him? Is it other things? I just think the coach is too easy to just get rid of a coach. And in football, I think coaches mean the most. In baseball, I think they mean the least. So we'll see how things work for Dusty as Dusty Baker tries to win a World Series. So that's enough Blackhawk talk until they win a game or two. And they'll win a game or two. There's no doubt about that. Just a little bit of soccer. And I don't know if my brother Timmy's watching. Timmy, stick around because I'm talking beer after this, okay? The Chicago Fire have been brutal this year. I bought season tickets for the Fire for last year's season because I had a condo downtown, and I figured, well, this is going to be easy because I'll take the L, get off at Roosevelt and State, walk on over to Soldier Field, catch the game, go back to the condo, stay downtown. Well, you know what happened last year. because of COVID, they didn't play games with fans in the stands. So my season tickets got pushed to this year. And this year, the Chicago Fire have played miserable. I don't have the condo anymore. I've missed quite a few games just because they were, they've played some games against the Bears. And I don't mean they played against the Bears. I mean, they played at the same time. Jim from Aurora says, how can elite franchise 3 cups in a decade fall so far so fast for such an extended period of time? I don't know, but the Hawks have done it, Jim. And sometimes it's paying big money to old defensemen. They did that with Seabrook. They did it with Duncan Keith. And then they finally moved Keith because he wanted to be closer with his family. Some of their young players I like. I like the DeBrinkets and the Kirby Docks and things like that. We'll see. We'll see how things go. And hey, Roger, who got to me a little while ago, a long distance fan, originally from Chicago, now in Florida. Oh, Florida is a place that years ago I decided I don't want to go to anymore. I don't like the sweat. As you can tell, I'm rather a big man. Just big boned. That's what I would always go with. But not a fan of the humidity down in Florida. So anyway, Chicago Fire, one more sports thing before we get into some beer. Chicago Fire get a 1-0 win over Real Salt Lake on Saturday night. They get a goal in the second half, 31,000 plus at Soldier Field. Nice big crowd. They gave away a lot of tickets. They gave every season ticket holder 2 extra tickets to give to somebody so they can have somebody else experience what the soccer experience was like at Soldier Field. It was a lot of fun. The young goalkeeper for the Chicago Fire, a 17-year-old kid, I want to say he's from Addison, Gabriel Slonina. Nice to see. He made some great stops, and it's good to see a young kid from the Chicago area play well. And that was one of the big things the Fire have seen. There are 14 teams in the Eastern Conference of Major League Soccer. The Chicago Fire are 12th. Shows you how bad they are. And like the top 10 or something make playoffs, and they're 12th. They're ahead of just Toronto and Cincinnati. So they've got 2 more games to play. They are at New York on Wednesday. They're in New York Wednesday night, and then they play and finish their season in Columbus on November 7th. I will not be a season ticket holder next year for various reasons, but I know that if I ever want to go see a game, Soldier Field, you can always get a ticket because it's a 62,000 seat stadium. And the 31,000 they had was the 3rd largest crowd in Fire history. There were other 2 crowds that were that close where when they were at Soldier Field years ago, they had 44 or 43,000 on the very first game of the franchise back in 1998. So they've been around for a little while. It's fun to go when they're playing well, and they fired their coach about a month ago. And Frank Klopas, a good friend of mine, a guy I did podcasts with, I did TV shows with. Frank, just an amazing guy, and he's got the team jacked up, playing hard. He doesn't let them give in. He's the kind of guy you want as a coach. He's a rah-rah guy, but he gets in their face. He's played the game at the highest levels, and I loved that they got a chance to get a win at home with Klopas there and 31,000 fans in the seats. You got a lot of beer stuff coming up. And maybe not, no beer guest. We'll talk about that again. We come back. But when you're looking for beer, you can find the Huebner and you can find the Fat Mike Lager at our guy, Nick and Ivy. Check it out.
Hello, this is Paul from Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. We are located at 1026 South State Street in historic downtown Lockport, Illinois. We are very excited to be partnering up with the Fat Mike Chicago Sports Show, as well as the 1252 brand, because we are one of the few Chicagoland breweries that embrace sports and sports culture. Come in for a fresh brewed beer made right here in Lockport while catching the game of your favorite team. Stay for the live music that we have booked every weekend, or just come for a cozy atmosphere to enjoy a good conversation with a friend, loved one, or complete stranger. Nick and Ivy makes you feel right at home no matter what the occasion is. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. Visit our website for our up-to-date tap list or to go shopping on our online store at nickivybrewing.com. That's Nikivy brewing.com. Come in today for a fresh brewed beer born and raised in Lockport, Illinois.
And for those that are watching, And I would think everybody's watching now, either on Facebook or on YouTube. And I can hold this up to the camera. But you want to get out to Nick and Ivy because it's back. Let's see if I can hold it. There it is. The Fat Mike Lager is back, and you can pick it up on draft. You can pick up the cans at Nick and Ivy. Fat Mike Lager, 5% alcohol by volume. Very, very tasty. Get there before Fat Mike drinks it all. And we have tasted it, and it's very, very good. And they ran out of the first one. They've made more. Now it's in cans. If you're in the Lockport area, you can get it at Burkhart's Foods. And very, very cool that Fat Mike is there. Harry, our guy Harry Berg, who does a great show here on 1252, said I was at the game yesterday. Have to say it was probably the most embarrassing game I ever attended. If anyone thinks when Biskey was at the helm, it was his fault, think again. Just saying, great show, Fred. Have a beer on me or for me. Harry, yeah, I think a lot of Bears fans realize that it wasn't Mitchell Trubisky being nearly as bad, but there's a whole different thing when you've got Trubisky and you have Justin Fields. Justin Fields has the ability. He's got a hell of an arm. He's going to be fine. It's going to take a while, like it does with all rookie quarterbacks. It's going to take a while. No rookie quarterbacks start off really well right off the bat. They need to learn the league. Troy Aikman needed to learn the league. Peyton Manning needed to learn the league. They were bad their first year or so. It takes a while. And I'm holding out hope that Justin Fields will be the guy that is the Bears quarterback for years and years to come. It's just going to take a while. So get on out to Nick and Ivy, because the first thing on my list, I got my list here of my note cards. Fat Mike Lager is back on tap and in cans at Nick and Ivy. So get on over there. I mentioned I was going to have a beer guest. I had put it on Facebook and Twitter earlier today. But Dylan over at the Open Door Tap Room in Clarendon Hills couldn't make it today. He's busy. A lot of people coming in. It's a brand new tap room and bottle shop in Clarendon Hills. So check it out when you get a chance. We'll eventually get Dylan on. So let me talk about one of my favorite breweries. Nick and Ivy's my favorite. I got a ton of favorites. And after being at Alter last Wednesday, that was a lot of fun too. Scarlet and Key Brewing, I mentioned Little Key. It's their seats, 25, 30 seats. I saw Paul and Emily there the other day. I'm drinking the collaboration they had with Alter, the Spontaneous Human collaboration. Very, very tasty beer. So I went there the other day. I had one of those, and I also had they have guest taps. So they have taps from some of the other breweries. And what Skull and Key Brewing is doing is they can't brew at their place right now because they're still working on equipment and everything else after the tornado took off the roof of their brewery and tap rooms. But they've been brewing in a lot of other places. So that's what they did with Alter. They brewed this collaboration beer. They've got another one coming out this weekend. Disaster Magnet. It's a collaboration with Buckle Down Brewing. You'll be able to get it at Little Key if you go to Little Key this weekend. So follow Skeleton Key Brewing on Facebook. And you'll also be able to get it at Buckle Down this weekend. And then they also have shirts available for Skeleton Key Brewing's collaboration tour. It's called Lift and Let Lift. And it's basically a shirt talking about all the collaborations they have with 14 different breweries. We've talked numerous times on here talking about how everybody is bonded together after Skeleton Key had the tornado and the damage to their place. Listen to the collaborations they've been able to have. And it's on the back of the shirts that they're selling right now. They've had collaborations with Goose Island, Elmhurst Brewing, Alter Brewing, Brother Chimp Brewing, Church Street Brewing, Moore Brewing, Oswego Brewing, Buckle Down, Metal Monkey, Hailstorm, Riverlands, Exit Strategy, Wolfton, and Afterthought. And on the back of the shirt, it's kind of like a concert shirt. When you see all the cities that the group is going to be at, this is the dates of all the collaborations and when they're going to be released. Very, very cool shirt. You get a chance to pick one up. It's very nice. It's a yellow shirt. It's got a truck with John the Brewer and Emily and Paul as they're running around distributing beers and making beer at all these places. So that's very, very cool. the collaboration with Metal Monkey. They're working on that, and that'll be coming out soon. We'll let you know when that's coming out. If you have the newspaper, or if you just go into a convenience store and you see the Tribune, pick it up if you're a beer fan. You can read a story, a front page story in Monday's Tribune by Josh Noel, our guy. We had him on here a few weeks ago. An article about the rise of lager beers, and it's featuring Goldfinger Brewing. Also talks about art history brewing out in the Western Burbs. Very, very good article. I read the article online the other day, and our guy Tom and Allison, they make great beer over at Goldfinger. I'll be at Goldfinger Wednesday, seeing Dustin. Me and Dustin are going on over to Goldfinger on Wednesday late afternoon, and maybe talk a little bit about the upcoming Westmont Winter Beer Fest, which comes up on February 19th. And if you've not been to that on the years that they did have it, you might want to get back out there. That was a lot of fun. And they've got one coming up this February. There was an article in the New York Times today that my guy Chet Brett got to me. And I read the article beforehand. He said it was a perfect time with Dylan from the Open Door Tap Room and Bottle Shop going to be on today. And then we mentioned that he couldn't come on today. But the article in the New York Times today says, last call for the beer bar. And it's all talking about how beer bars that had craft beers and numerous craft beers on tap, your 10, your 12, your 15, your 18, your 20 different craft beers on tap, you would go to a place like that. Now it's tough for some of these bars to make it because so many of the beer fans are going to the breweries because breweries have their own beer on tap with 9 or 12 or 16 taps instead of going to the beer bar. They'll say, let's go to Nick and Ivy and drink their beer tonight instead of let's go to this bar and drink one Nick and Ivy and one Buckle Down and one Black Horizon and one Skeleton Key Brewing. So it's a very interesting article. If you get a chance to read it, it's in the New York Times today. It's a lot of beer bars finding it hard to compete with brewery tap rooms. I've been to the Yard House once here in Oak Brook Terrace. I've been to the Yard House in Denver, Colorado. And that's what I would consider probably a beer bar because they have so many different, probably 30 or 40, if not more than that. And I can understand how that's the case. What they have for it, most of those places, in my opinion, is they have food. And I don't mean a couple of things on the menu or a beer truck. They've got a lot of food. So they are probably, they probably push their food as much as their beer. They get you in with the beer and then they have plenty of food options. So very, very interesting article if you get a chance to read it. You're not going to believe this, but let's see. I don't have a What's Up Fred's can today. I don't have anything that's aggravating me right now. There's enough stuff in sports that aggravates me on a daily basis, but there's nothing that really bothers me today, which is surprising because I could say, listening to Tony Romo and Jim Nantz, lick Tom Brady all day yesterday, that was bothersome because I had to sit and listen to it. But that's not enough. It wasn't on my can. It was just a bother. So I think we're going to let it go with that. I did have some nice wins yesterday. I mentioned I won. I bet on 5 games. I won on 4 of them, and I finally learned my lesson. This is thanks to my guy Brian Hanley, which I work with on Saturdays. A lot of times on Saturdays. Now I'm working with Mark Zander on Saturdays on ESPN 1000. But Brian said anytime you bet a parlay with more than 2 teams, you're in trouble. So I've been betting 4 and 5 team parlays. I did that again this week, but I also learned to play them individually as well. So you play a parlay with 5 teams. Say it costs you $5, okay? You can win big money. But if you also bet each of those for $5, you've put out $30. That's not a whole heck of a lot for a football Sunday. And as it turned out, I won 4 of the 5. So that means you get 40 back. So I put out 30. I won 40. I'm up $10. I had New England -7. They had an easy victory against the Jets. I had the Giants +3. They had a win over Carolina. Green Bay -8 against the Washington football team. The Washington football team was inside the Packers 10 at least 3 times in the second half. Talk about sweating out a game. Tennessee +4.5, and they just destroyed Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And then I guess I didn't believe in Cincinnati yet. After the way the Baltimore Ravens played last week, I took the Ravens minus 6.5 against the Bengals. And that's the one I lost. If I would have won that, a 5-team parlay would have been nice. But hey, I'll take the $10 win. And right now at halftime, the Bulls are up by 10. So maybe that wasn't a good wager, taking this. I bet Toronto to win because the Bulls they were -2. I said, what the hell? Just sitting here doing the podcast and watching the game as we go along. So thanks a lot for listening. Thanks for watching. If there's ever a brewery that you would like me to talk to or you'd like me to get on, let me know. You can leave me a message on Facebook. And also any messages or thoughts or questions, you can always get to me during the course of the week. And don't forget the other shows. Fat Mike's got his show coming up on Wednesday. We've got shows with Alan Brasher coming up on Thursdays. The Harry Berg does his gambling show on Friday nights at 8. Lots of stuff here on the 1252 Sports Network. So check them all out. We are just having a great time, trying to have as much fun as we can. And I think we're doing that. And again, if you get a chance, not last week's show, let's see, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? When Alex Brown came on with Fat Mike 2 weeks ago. Tremendous show, great stuff. And give it a shot. You can check him again. You can find him on YouTube, find him on Twitch. You can also find all of the audio on Spotify. So I'm going to sit and watch the rest of the Bulls game, finish this wonderful collaboration with Skeleton Key and Alta Brewing. And until next week, have a good one. And hey, maybe the Bears can win. But if they don't, I'll be happy because they're playing the Niners and my Niners are going to win. I can't lose next week. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you next Monday.